After an incredible Monaco Grand Prix full of twists, turns and complete chaos, Formula 1 moves on to Barcelona for the Spanish Grand Prix, which means that once again it is time for my preview and predictions. This is a series where I'll be previewing, and then at the end of the video I'll be giving out my early predictions for the top 5 in the Spanish Grand Prix. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and subscribe for more F1 content. The majority of viewers are not currently subscribed to the channel, and if you're one of those, I would greatly appreciate it if you just tapped that little sub button. Now, let's get into the video. As usual, I'll be talking about the likes of Ferrari, Mercedes, Aston Martin and Red Bull a little bit later on, so stick around for that. Monaco was the jewel in the crown for Formula 1, and it delivered a brilliant race with plenty of on-track overtaking and great racing up and down the field. But now F1 moves on to Spain, and this circuit could not be any more different from Monte Carlo. And this year, the circuit in Spain has been altered to increase speed. This year, with the final chicane being removed, as the circuit has reverted back to its original layout, with a massively high-speed final two corners, as this old footage of Barcelona shows. This change to the circuit could play havoc on the tyres, as these high-speed corners will give the tyres even less of a respite, and the high-speed nature could potentially increase tyre wear as temperatures will go through the roof around these two corners. Even before the new layout, the old Spain layout was a high-speed circuit, and to show the difference, let's compare the fastest lap speed from last year's Spanish Grand Prix to Monaco's Grand Prix from this year. The 2023 Monaco fastest lap average speed was just 158.79 km per hour by Lewis Hamilton in the Mercedes, whereas the 2022 Spanish Grand Prix fastest lap speed was 200 km per hour by Sergio Perez in the Red Bull. It will be interesting to see just how much faster this year's lap speed will actually be. This high speed mixed with typically high temperatures in Spain at this time of year and the surface not being very smooth means that tyre wear can be very high, and we saw that as last year there was a grand total of 53 pit stops as the drivers and teams did a mixture of 2 and 3 pit stop strategies. And that is with the hardest tyres that Pirelli bring, as this year Pirelli will be taking the C1, C2 and C3 compound of tyre. With this in mind, I have a feeling that we will see the majority of drivers do a 2-stop strategy, as the tyres are a little bit more conservative this year. But we may well see a few drivers, especially those that are harder on their tyres, be forced into doing a 3-stop strategy, if the weather in Spain is going to be as hot as it usually can be. Much like Monaco, pole position in Spain is very important, as overtaking at the Circuit Catalunya can be very difficult. But when you throw in a lot of pit stops and strategy, you can start to see a few more on-track overtakes. Last year in the Grand Prix there was a grand total of 48 on-track overtakes, and to try and help this, there are 2 DRS zones at Barcelona, and that is firstly down the pit straight, and the second DRS is on the run from turn 9 into turn 10. The question is though, with no final chicane in place anymore, will the second DRS zone be more useful now as an aid for the cars to get closer together before using DRS once again to overtake down the pit straight into turn 1? Well, only time will tell. Last year's pole position lap was a 118.75 by Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari, and the fastest lap in the Grand Prix was a 124.108 by Sergio Perez in the Red Bull. But with a new layout being used, expect the lap time to be significantly faster this year. But how much? Well, we don't really know that yet. That being said, one thing that might slow the cars down a little bit is the potential for rain, as once again rain will be in the air around race day. At least that's what it's saying right now in the forecast. With that in mind, we might once again see chaos happen as the drivers struggle to get around the circuit to try and get back to the pits for a set of intermediates or maybe even a set of full wet tyres. But will it be the 3rd race weekend in a row where weather affects the racing in some capacity? With that in mind, let's now get to the top 4 teams in the Constructors' Championship, and let's start with the team that is currently in 4th place, which is Ferrari. For Ferrari, Monaco was once again a tale of what could have been. However, we saw that, sadly for Ferrari, the issues with the pit wall not relaying information correctly has cost them massively. In qualifying, we saw Carlos Sainz get in the way of his own teammate Charles Leclerc during Q1, and then at the end of Q3, Charles Leclerc got in the way of Lando Norris and landed himself a 3-place grid penalty for the Grand Prix. This was all down to the pit wall not being on the ball when it comes to cars around their drivers. This pretty much took Leclerc out of the running for the podium, as Leclerc was actually third fastest in qualifying, but had to start the Grand Prix from 6th place. In Spain, I have a feeling that it will be another tale of what could possibly be for Ferrari. In qualifying, Ferrari should perform very well, as this is the kind of circuit that plays into their hands. Ferrari has all season long had great efficiency with their aerodynamic package, and with this in mind, I could see them once again being the closest fight to Red Bull over one lap. However, due to the high tyre wear of Barcelona and the strategical element of the race, and also because Pirelli are taking the hardest compound of tyres, which has affected Ferrari more than their rivals, I can see them falling back and losing positions in the Grand Prix, despite being in a great starting place. Ferrari right now should be 2nd or 3rd in the Constructors, but they are 4th and a long way away from 3rd and 2nd place, and I cannot see that changing without some big changes coming to the team. For Mercedes, Monaco went just about as well as it possibly could have. Mercedes introduced a brand new concept, and whilst over one lap and during practice the car looked like a bit of a handful, it all came together during the Grand Prix. The car right now might be a little bit difficult, but Mercedes are going about it the right way, and they are learning all the time more and more what they can do and what they can build on for the future as they continue the fight back. With Spain being a bit more of a conventional circuit, we will get a much better understanding of exactly where they are now in the running order. The team are right now only 1 point behind Aston Martin, which is astonishing when you consider the fact that over one lap, Mercedes for the most part has been 4th fastest. For Lewis Hamilton, his Monaco Grand Prix was almost a disaster as he faced elimination in Q1 and Q2, but he was able to bring it all together for Q3 and started the race from 5th place and used that to his advantage in order to finish in 4th, just behind the Alpine of Esteban Ocon. For his teammate George Russell though, Russell looked actually the more uncomfortable driver during free practice. During the Friday sessions, Hamilton looked very comfortable and happy with the car, but Russell not so much. And even though Lewis was the driver who almost went out in Q1 and Q2, it was actually Russell who was the slower driver. Could it be that Russell preferred the previous design? Well, I think we're going to find out a little bit more this weekend. But based on Monaco, it seems like Hamilton does now have the ascendancy between the two drivers. But for now, all they have to do is continue working together to maximise their potential, because I have a feeling that after this weekend, we may see Mercedes being in 2nd place in the Constructors' Championship. For Aston Martin, Monaco was a tale of two halves. On the one hand, it was a fantastic result for them to score yet another podium, and Alonso managed to go one better than his previous result and scored a 2nd place finish, which was incredible. However, on the other hand, Lance Stroll had another weekend to forget. Monaco was supposed to be one of the strongest tracks for the Aston Martin team, but yet Lance Stroll was knocked out in Q2. That may have been due to damage sustained on track, but it goes to show that once again Aston Martin are fighting with one hand tied behind their back. In the race as well, Stroll made a lot of mistakes and had multiple incidents, which may potentially have cost him 1 or 2 valuable championship points. For Aston Martin, they may be enjoying their time in 2nd place in the Constructors, but I fear it will not last much longer due to the team only having one driver capable of scoring good results. If Aston Martin are truly a serious team about fighting for both the Drivers' and Constructors' Championship, then I feel Lawrence Stroll needs to make a decision that his son may not like. Spain should be another strong race for the team, as the circuit is another high downforce circuit, which is where Aston Martin tend to excel. Therefore, we can expect to see Aston in the fight for the podium. Spain is also a high tyre wear circuit, and given Aston has had low tyre wear so far this year, they are certainly looking in good shape. But even with that in mind, I do wonder if this is the last time they will be in second place in the Constructors. And finally for Red Bull. For Red Bull, Monaco was also a tale of two halves. Sergio Perez essentially ended any hope of him fighting for the World Championship after making a critical error in qualifying going into Sandoval, carrying way too much speed and hitting the wall, which ended his session very early. And then in the Grand Prix as well, much like with Lance Stroll, Perez had a shocking race, running into the back of multiple drivers and finding himself being lapped by his teammate twice in one race. For Verstappen though, Monaco was another race where he produced some unbelievable results. His Sector 3 in qualifying was a thing of beauty, and his race was very well managed from the front, somehow making the medium tyres go all the way until the rain came, with very little drop off. Spain should be another race where Red Bull are going in favourites, and they should perform very well at this circuit, as this could be a circuit, especially now with the final two corners being high speed, a circuit which suits their car and their aerodynamic package to a T, and I think Red Bull are going to be even more dominant this weekend than they have at most other races so far this year. So, who do I think will be on pole position? Well, for pole position, I am going to go for Max Verstappen to score pole position, as I feel like this circuit is going to be a little bit more high speed, which will suit that Red Bull car nicely. But what about my top 5 in the race? Well, I'm going to say that in P5, it will be Charles Leclerc. P4 will be Lewis Hamilton in the Mercedes. P3 will be Fernando Alonso once again. Sergio Perez will be in second place. And yes, I know it's a bit boring at this point, but Max Verstappen will win the Spanish Grand Prix. But though, that is what I think. The question is though, what do you guys think? Down below in the comments, let me know, and as always, comment, leave a like, and subscribe for more F1 content. Thank you all so much for watching.